Howdy,
Hey,
hey, how's
ho.
it going?
Very good.
Good? Alright. It's a very odd time to start the show, but it's what works for
Yeah, it's
today.
Wake Up America, but for everybody else still sleeping in.
Yeah, or for our the guys that were listening from England, I guess it's good night, England.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't think about what time they were on.
Yeah, I think he said like 6:30 or something. Alright, but we can go ahead and get started. As people come in, we are glad to take any comments that you guys have. This is the Wake Up America podcast. We're a conservative talk show, and we love comments, but please remember to keep them clean and limit your cussing. We will have to mute someone if they are being too profane. So, our topic for today is the result of the second Trump impeachment, where he got acquitted. Which is great news for him, great news for us. That's our topic for today, but there is some sad news that we found out yesterday. If you want to talk about that, Colson.
Yep. So yesterday, sadly, Rush Limbaugh, conservative talk host for his entire life, really pushed the envelope and helped the conservative community a ton. He passed away yesterday, and we will all miss him sorely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really sad news when I found out about it. And
Yeah,
I mean, he was. We all kind of knew that. I mean, he even announced. He said, "Listen, this is going to be coming." I think about a year ago, he said that he had
yeah.
stage 4 lung cancer, and that's so we all kind of knew it was coming, but we still wish that it hadn't happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nobody's happy that he's gone, except for, as it turns out, apparently there are a couple people that seem to be kind of happy that he's no longer with us.
Yeah, which I did what you said. I looked up I looked up Rush Limbaugh. I didn't even look up anything past his name, and some of the top articles were from the New York Times, Washington Post, Vox, and they were all saying, Rush Limbaugh, provocateur, or controversial radio host, and they were just automatically slandering him.
Yep, so sad. I mean, it wasn't even, there was no, not only there was no respect for the dead and the fact that he's passed, it was like serious. Like, I mean, it was like digging into him. Like they were going after him like maliciously. It was violent. It was almost verbally violent. I mean, they were going on and demonizing him, calling him horrible, this and that, and really just trying to bury him in the ground and beat the dead horse.
Yeah, and I don't know. The headlines are just so disrespectful. Like this from the UK Telegraph: Rush Limbaugh, provocative broadcaster who dominated America's conservative airways, and it's just sad, really, that they are not having any respect for the dead and not having any respect for the fact that he's been fighting cancer for a year. They're just immediately going and attacking him for what he believes.
Yeah, there was not even a pause. And he passed yesterday, and there are already articles out and interviews and stuff from many of the mainstream news organizations. They are just going right at it, just not even taking a break. No, like, honor him or honor the dead. Just dig right in and get on him.
Yeah, it's honestly disgusting.
Yep. Your first message of the day.
Hey guys, not that I totally agree or disagree with people attacking Rush. I didn't agree with his policies, but as an early adult in the country, that he was like the only connection to politics I had. So he played a big role in my life for sure. But I really don't have any time, I guess you could say, for people that argue about respecting the dead. If I don't respect you in life, I don't have to respect you in death. If you're shitty in life, just because you died doesn't mean that you weren't a shitty person. So I come from the point of view that you're allowed to say negative things about the dead.
I see where you're coming from. You didn't like him in life, and so you're not going to like him in death, and obviously that makes total sense. Your opinion about him is not going to change after he passes. It's just these news organizations that are supposed to be standing for, standing for democracy and standing for the betterment of the country and trying to bring out the truth and being honest. These things that you would normally, it sounds like they're trying to portray a positive image, and yet they have articles that are going after a dead man like he's some horrible human being. And I mean, some people don't agree with him. I don't agree with some people, and if they were to die, I certainly wouldn't like them anymore after they passed. But that doesn't mean that you have to insult the dead. It's just a common lack of. It's just a matter of respect.
I think a lot of it for me, obviously, there are a lot of dead people that I don't respect, right? An extreme example would be Hitler. I'm going to trash talk him all I want because he was a terrible person. So for me, it's not necessarily the fact that if you're dead, no one can say anything negative about you. For me, that's not the case, but it's more the fact that they went, and as soon as they got the news, they immediately turned to hit pieces and immediately changed their tone to, he was such a terrible person, he did nothing good. It's the immediacy and the speed at which, I mean, he hadn't even passed away, and within 24 hours, all these pieces
they were demonizing.
Yeah, it's almost like they had some of these ready for when he passed away to just publish as soon as they found out. The speed at which they went and turned against him, obviously they were never really in support of him, but the fact that they immediately wrote scathing reviews and scathing obituaries is, to me, the part that's disgusting.
Yeah, like if you don't like him, just be like, okay, yeah, he's not here anymore. We're gonna have to deal with him, and let that be that. But you don't have to like. It's like post-mortem dishonorment. It's like trying to insult someone who's no longer here. They can't defend themselves, so that was their perfect opportunity. Not what our show is about today, but something that it was definitely he was worthy of an honorable mention for us.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's sad to see anyone die, right? And especially sad to see someone die who was so influential and so important, like you were talking about. So important in so many people's lives in shaping their views and helping them see the world.
Yep, exactly. We have 2 more comments. We'll go ahead and listen first from here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't even continue listening to what you're saying about the media. Like, to have the idea that the media is still, supposed to be this unbiased source of information, that idea has been gone for like 30, 40 years.
That's true.
The news is reality TV. It's ratings. It's money. It's power. I don't watch mainstream news. I don't really watch a whole hell of a lot of news, though I try to stay in the know of what's going on in politics, especially as it pertains to my area. I just think that it's crazy that we still give these major media organizations a chance to even tell us the facts, because we know we're not going to get them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We're not saying that we expect them to be unbiased, but they say that they are, And so we're going to hold them until they will admit that they are strictly opinionated. Until they admit that they are opinionated, we're going to hold them to the standard that they are supposed to be unbiased. And so we will criticize them in that light, and they will not back down from saying that they are unbiased, and they continue to claim that, even though everybody knows that it's not true. So,
thankfully, there are platforms like Stereo where it's really branched out in the past decade or so, where not only do you have social media that's really taking the stage, but you've got apps like Stereo where the people, right? We are the people, rather than just having a cable news tell you what to think. You're hearing all kinds of views that are completely available, right? We didn't have to invest any sort of money into starting a program. We didn't have to have $1 million before we could start this program. We were able to just start and get our views out this way.
Amen. One more message here.
And the reason they're immediately turning to slandering him, or whatever you would call it, it's what's going to get the best ratings. And, if praising him would be the best way to get ratings, then they would have done that. At the end of the day, they don't really give a shit what they're saying, as long as it doesn't, ruin the status quo of their gasoline, we'll call them. The fuel that burns the fire of the media is definitely, pulling some strings with society.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's just, unfortunately, they're promoted and run off the idea of getting ratings and getting money rather than telling the truth. And that's just the sad fact of it right now.
Yeah, but just because that's the way they operate doesn't mean that I have to accept that whatever they do is just in the terms of that, and then just take it with a grain of salt and say, oh, well, I know why they're doing it, so they can do whatever they want. That's not how that works. So we in Spencer here, we're a talk show, and we criticize a lot of different things. We support a lot of different things. But because we know why one person does something doesn't mean that we're going to not criticize them. No, that's just not how that works.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's our honorable mention. We're sad to see Rush Limbaugh pass, and we hope that there are other people that are willing to take his place and continue promoting conservative good ideas on radio and on Stereo and on YouTube and everywhere else.
Yep, absolutely. Today we're going to be talking about Donald Trump's impeachment acquittal. He was, for the second time, impeached and then acquitted, found not guilty. The only president in history to have been impeached, and not just impeached twice, but also acquitted twice. So, if there's no further evidence that Trump didn't do anything wrong, then look at 2 impeachments and the millions of dollars spent alongside them, and that's at least a good place to start.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, the vote was 57 to 33. 57 votes to impeach, 33 votes to not. And, of course, they need a 2/3 majority. So he did get acquitted, which is excellent. It is very good news to hear. And that 57 was composed of 50 Democrats and 7 Republicans that went ahead and turned against the constitutionality, they went with the unconstitutional way of impeaching a private citizen.
Yep, including Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney, both of whom used to be admired, but are now clearly turncoats.
Yeah, and I mean, Mitt Romney, he's not a surprising one at all. He has been a rhino for a long time, and everyone kind of knew it. But Mitch McConnell he's really disappointed me recently in what he's stood for and what he's said. The fact that when the Capitol riot broke out, he actually agreed with the Democrats that President Trump had started it. He's really lost my support in that, and it's terrible to see that him being the party leader has turned so far over to the Democrats.
Yep, amen. In the matter of Trump's acquittal, first off, me and Spencer, we have evidence and we clearly believe that it was unconstitutional in the first place, and there's a very simple reason for that. And I've seen evidence from people have brought to me that it's happened before in history where presidents have attempted to impeach a president after they left office, or so maybe not president, it's another official. That was one of the reasons that Nixon was pardoned, and that's happened with several other civil officials. But just because it's happened in history does not justify it for the present day. It was unconstitutional in the past, and it's unconstitutional now.
Yeah. And so if you guys go to the epictimes.com, there is actually an article with Trump's statement, and I'm going to go ahead and read just a few points through that. So this is President Trump speaking. This is not a journalist or anything. He said, "My deepest thanks as well to all of the United States senators and members of Congress who stood proudly for the Constitution we all revere, for the sacred legal principles at the heart of our country." He says that our republic was founded on impartial law, indispensable safeguards for our liberties, rights, and freedoms. He said that it is a sad commentary on our times that one political party in America is given a free pass to denigrate the rule of law, defame law enforcement, cheer mobs, excuse rioters, and transform justice into a tool of political vengeance and persecute, blacklist, cancel, and suppress all people and viewpoints with whom or which they disagree. I, President Trump, always have and always will be a champion for the unwavering rule of law, the heroes of law enforcement, and the right of Americans to peacefully and honorably debate the issues of the day without malice and hate. And that's a lot of that is what we were just talking about on our show 2 days ago about censorship and getting canceled, and the fact that the left has so much more of a free pass than the right does.
Yep, that is so true. We are greatly happy that President Trump was acquitted because it wasn't right in the first place. We heard it wasn't constitutional. It's a situation that makes you wonder why it happened. And like you're just talking about a little bit ago, they did it for a reason. Just like you see news organizations do whatever they want for ratings. The reason that they tried to impeach Trump was because if he had been impeached, that would have barred him from running for office again in the future, which would have given the Democrats pretty much a free pass because Donald Trump is currently the biggest threat to the presidency and control of the government that they currently have. They want control, and Trump wants the control of the people. And he's disrupting the narrative and draining this. He was disrupting the narrative and draining the swamp. And for him to get back in and do the same thing is something that they are. I would guess they're probably terrified of it.
Yeah, they are. The swamp looks at him, and he really came to drain it, and they didn't want him, and so a lot of this is trying to make sure he can never drain any more of what they've done.
Yep.
And he kind of talks about that. He in his statement, he talks about that this was another phase of the greatest witch hunt in the history of our country. He said that no president has gone through this, especially with 75 million people voting for him. And yeah, it's ridiculous to look at them and to look at this when we all knew the outcome, and all we knew it would do was waste taxpayer money and waste our time.
Yep, absolutely. We got a message here real quick.
You guys know that Kamala Harris is not qualified to be vice president. In order to be qualified to be president or in administration, you got to have one of the two parents to be from the United States. Well, Kamala Harris, her both parents are not from the United States, so she is not even qualified to be vice president. Now Biden is he is not the president because he stole the election. I mean, it was beyond a reasonable doubt. The whole country's seen it, so he is not the president. And what you're going to see is Donald Trump, because of this acquittal, he is coming back to do his second term. And I think they're going to be doing a military controlled election. I'm not sure yet how they're going to do it, but because of this acquittal, that opens up a can of worms for Obama, George Bush, and the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. They're all going to go to jail. They're going to be charged with treason, seditions, and war crimes.
Some of that jail stuff, that would be awesome. I would love to see some. I would love to see some of that. But he has really good points. We're hoping that Trump's going to come back. Biden was not the legitimate president because of fraud. And Kamala Harris is illegible.
That's why I call him the former vice president, Joe Biden. And I honestly don't know about the Kamala's parents. Do you know anything about that, Colson?
I have not specifically heard anything about it before, but I'll do some research on that and make sure that I'm getting my facts right. But if they are both from outside the president, which I think I've heard something like that before, but I've never looked it up. Then yeah, that's totally true. They are not. She is not the legitimate. I mean, she wasn't legitimate because they're both committed fraud in order to get in the first place. And for those who've done their research and they see the personalities and some of the what looks like backstage planning that seems to be revealed from the Democratic Party, we all know that there's not a whole lot of time left for Biden in office. And as soon as the Democrat Party can, they're going to kick him out and put Kamala in.
Well, and on top of that, I think in terms of the Kamala taking over, it's going to happen one way or another. Look at Biden. He already has dementia. It's very obvious. He's honestly really old, and he's showing his age. And one way or the other, whether they're going to remove him from office because they say he can't perform his duties or because he just dies because he's so old, one way or the other, it's very unlikely he's going to last through 4 years.
Yep, absolutely. That's so true. We go on one.
I got a better a channel for truth rather than Epic Times. I suggest you guys go check out the Freedom for America, which is a channel on YouTube, is what I find to be, and also the Truther. It's called, there's many of them out there. I'm only going to give you these two right here: the Truther and then the Freedom of America. And also, you might want to. Anyways, there you go.
All right, thank you. I will check those out.
You guys know about Donald Trump being sent here by God as King Cyrus? So basically, he's going to do exactly what King Cyrus did back in the day of City Babylon, where he, whatever. See, it's kind of funny because when you see or know a man that's coming sent by God, he's going to do everything what he promised, and more. So that's the attribute of a man from God, sent by God. And so when you know Donald Trump is in power, just know this: he is a symbolization of God's grace. And right after the second term, know this also, because I found him in the Bible as a last president. And so know this, that once he's done with the last term, we're going to be the greatest country, the strongest country. We're going to be living in the golden era. So get ready for it, and also prepare ourselves to go to heaven, because the end shall come afterwards.
So I can't speak to the biblical prophecy, whether Trump fulfills anything like that. But I'll let you talk about that in just a sec, Colson. But I did find out that Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5 of the Constitution gives 3 qualifications for holding the presidency and thereby the vice presidency. You have to be a natural-born U.S. citizen. So whether your parents were born in the U.S. or not, as long as you are a natural-born U.S. citizen, you're good. You have to be at least 35 years old, and you have to be a resident of the U.S. for at least 14 years. So it's not required to have your parents be American citizens.
Okay, I wasn't positive about that, but I mean, a good enough reason for us is that we all know that she was fraud in the first place. So any other reason, I mean, yeah, it helps us back up that her and Biden are both illegitimate, but in the end, the first offense was that they both committed fraud. So
yeah,
yep. So I can't speak to the biblical stuff either. I don't spend a lot of time studying the Bible in such detail. While we both are Christians, I don't have that knowledge. But I do think that Donald Trump was a man sent by God to help the country, because we've had several presidents that have just done nothing for us. They've hurt millions of people, right? They haven't physically, or maybe they have had some detrimental effect, but they've affected millions of in a negative way. And Trump was a way to make everything better, and we're going to have to deal with whatever the future holds in terms of Biden and Kamala Harris. But Trump and his resulting 2 impeachments and his FBI investigations and all the allegations against him that were found to be false just goes to back up that he is not a perfect person, but he's definitely a person that was perfect for the job.
Well, and on top of that, God works through imperfect people, because, there are no perfect people on the earth right now. And even if you're an atheist and you don't have any sort of belief religiously at all, you can just look at what Trump did in his policy and the things that he enacted, and pure logic will let you look and see that what he did was good for the country, and he's perhaps the best president that we've had in at least a decade, maybe more.
Amen to that.
Yeah, when you see these things that I'm telling you guys, which I'm telling you guys the truth and I'm not lying, when you guys see these things come to pass, know this, that is a power of God. And also we should seek out for the kingdom of God, then right after for God's righteousness, and all these things will be added onto you. We have to prepare, because we got, only the Lord knows what hour and what time he cometh, but we can only know the season. And the season, I think he is about to come through, the Lord down from the clouds. That would be in the year 2027. Because, after Donald Trump, we're going to live out the, all the riches that he had created for us in our country. And then after that, we're going to come to a stop of everything that we know of today in life is going to come to a straight halt.
Once again, I can't really speak to a lot of the theory, but the return of the Lord and the preparation that I feel like Trump has done to help create a more righteous place. He hasn't, obviously Trump hasn't gone around. He's made everybody different. That's the Lord. So he's not divine in nature, but he's been sent with a divine for divine purposes to help this country and to help the people in it, to help us counteract the evils that have been inflicted against this country in the past many years. You have the degradation that was inflicted by Obama, and you have all this strife and anger and hatred that was brought during Trump's first term, where everybody it was either you were for Trump or you were against Trump, and The middle ground was
Right.
ripped by both sides, and then you have the people who were anti-Trump that wanted to physically harm everybody who was pro-Trump. You had the people who are pro-Trump who were like, hey, we don't want to hurt you guys, so can you stop saying that you want to hurt us?
Yeah. And especially if you look under Obama, you can't say that a country as a whole is racist when you elect a black president. And if you look at Obama's term, race relations under his term, right? We had just elected a black president. You would think if they had been bad, they would have gotten a lot better. But under Obama, race relations got even worse. And there's a lot that's going on that the left was pushing a lot of division. And you can watch, I don't remember which of our shows it was, but one of our shows talked about how if you're able to divide people into subgroups, then you're able to control them a lot easier.
Yep, absolutely.
And that was a plan from the beginning, the Democrats. That was a plan. But they messed it up because Kamala is not even qualified.
Yeah,
Obama, he wasn't a natural citizen of the United States either. He was raised and born from Kenya, and so he was able to do 2 terms. And I found out that his second term was stolen by, he's the one that stole it. And I guess the corruption kind of went even before that, because I think George Bush is where it started. Actually, before that, it was when Jeff F. Kennedy, or senior George Bush, was the one who assassinated him, and he became president for it.
And yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off with that message. Honestly, again, we can't really speak to that specific stuff. That's, especially with the JFK stuff, that's a bit off topic of what we're talking about today.
Yeah. We try not to speak a lot to things that we can't prove. And we definitely are Christians and we have our beliefs. But we try to stick a lot to the facts, just because there are people who would believe us if we were to give religious reasons, from a biblical standpoint, and that's great. But we want to give evidence, so that way everybody can believe us, and people are not required to be religious one way or another in order to believe us. But we like to stick with cold hard facts, and the facts are that there was fraud committed in the election, that Donald Trump was not guilty of the crimes that everyone says he's committed, and he also was tried unconstitutionally for his second impeachment. It never should have happened.
Yeah, and we'll go on to more messages.
Yeah, everything I'm telling you guys is biblical. I follow prophets, and these prophets are saying the same thing. Pretty much, he's sent here. By God. And you know what? The reason why God sent him is because it's coming towards the end of the age. So before he stops this, he's going to go out, in a bang, so to speak. God is. So he wants to give us all of the richness and the fulfillment, and then showing us how much he loves us. And before he, stops everything as we know it, and then, come to a judgment.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead, Spencer.
I honestly don't have much. I guess we can keep moving through these unless you have a comment.
Yeah, I don't really know enough about Bible theory to comment.
Yep, amen. He is the best president in the history of America. Yep, and he's the only president that was a transparent president of the United States in the history of the United States. And also he's the only one who brought peace to America by returning the state, or the capital city of Jerusalem, back to Israel. You see, that was prophecy filled by the book in Revelations.
Yeah,
now,
Trump brought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Trump brought peace, and he brought prosperity, things that past presidents before him had failed to do for several in a row. But his foreign policy and the way that he handled U.S. relations with the rest of the world, that was something that was also incredibly important about him, because instead of using an act of appeasement or just hanging on, twiddling your thumbs, or throwing our soldiers endlessly at conflicts and just trying to solve this or that, he was strategic and intelligent about how he handled relations with, like, North Korea. They were very, very tense at the beginning of his presidency, and in the end, he practically made friends with Kim Jong-un. Now, obviously, they weren't the best of buds, but they weren't the tensions weren't so strict because of the way that he created a relationship.
And I think that he is the best president in our time for sure. Personally, I think George Washington, for me and for, I would say, a majority of Americans, ranks as basically the top president because of all that he did in leading the American Revolution and helping found such a fantastic country. As for the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, I'd agree that it's a fulfillment of that prophecy. But again, we're trying to kind of keep it so that everyone can listen, whether you're Christian or atheist or whatever else.
Yep.
By the way, if you guys want to check out Trump in the Bible, it's just this verse, but it's in 1 Corinthians 15:52. 1 Corinthians 15:52.
All right.
Yeah, Donald Trump was sent here with the spirit of King Cyrus. So whatever King Cyrus did back in the day, if you look at that story, Trump is going to do the same exact thing and then more. King Cyrus, he's also a real estate developer. He built a wall for Israel, which today it still stands. It's a 30-foot wall that protects Israel from the neighboring countries that want to kill them.
Yeah.
Finally, two guys that are actually making sense in stereo. Good morning / good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for this podcast. It's very interesting. March 4th. The best president will be inaugurated back and take that platform away from this fake president that we have right now. So just be prepared for everything that's going to be coming our way. We, the people, will take everything back. God bless and enjoy.
Amen.
I think,
I
think if we keep fighting, if we keep fighting these 4 years or however long this Biden administration lasts, if we keep fighting and we fight against voter fraud and irregularities and everything like that, if we put forth our effort now and we don't just wait until another 4 years comes around, right? President Trump, he is more than likely going to run. And when he does, if we've done nothing for the past 4 years, then we're going to get the exact same result that we got this year, unless we do something for the next 4 years and actually make our voices heard and make the right changes.
Yep, exactly. We're going to be pushing the facts onto people for 4 years, so that way at the end of it, Trump will have the best chance. Or maybe, let's say somehow Trump decides not to run, but we get another strong conservative that will run. Because at this point, it really is left versus right in terms of Democrat versus Republican. So I think if anything would happen, we get at least another strong Republican and a strong conservative in for Republicans. But we're just going to go with what we all believe is going to happen, and that's that Trump will get in. And if we do nothing for these 4 years, or like Spencer said, however long, whatever the circumstances may arise, then nothing's going to happen. But we're preparing for whatever can come our way. We don't know what's going to happen in these 4 years. For all we know, there could be serious conflict inside the country. We've heard from several different people, that some people believe there's going to be a civil war between Democrats and Republicans, or the right versus the left. And that's a possibility. I don't know. We don't know the facts yet because nobody knows the future. But what we do know is that doing nothing and twiddling our thumbs is not going to be how we are going to bring back the rights of the people and the government of the people instead of the government, of these socialist, communist people who are pushing our country deeper and deeper off the deep end of into the deep end of the cheese pool.
Well, and in terms of the Civil War stuff, Steven Crowder actually recently said that the most extreme view he holds, and right, he's a pretty right conservative. He said the most extreme view he holds right now, and I agree with him, is that we are at a point where if they push conservatives just a little bit harder, right? They have pushed us so much. They have pushed on social media. They've said, no, you can't be on media. They've pushed on not real, but old media like cable and stuff, where there's only Fox now, and even Fox is turning liberal. And they've pushed everywhere in this election fraud. If you add it all up together, if they push much more, people are going to almost have to react because they're just getting squashed.
Absolutely, yeah. We got our backs against the cliff, and the choices are at some point in time to keep pushing the choice, and I believe that they will keep pushing, and that the choices eventually will come to us. That the choices are going to be jump off the cliff and let the U.S. Die. Pretty much is what the option is. It's going to be, if we don't push back, then our beloved country will just plunder into whatever may come, communism, socialism, whatever it is. It's going to plunge into everything that we've fought against since the day we were created, the day this country was created. And the other option is to push back, to fight back the people that are pushing against us. So it's a fight or flight thing right now. We can push back or we can roll over and hope for the best, and we're just going to be pushed off the edge of the cliff.
And obviously, we're not calling for violence. We're not calling
absolutely
for
not.
people
No.
to go out and shoot leftists or whatever. That is a terrible thing that you should not do. Right? We condemn that when BLM was doing stuff like that, and we will condemn it no matter which side does that. But tensions are very high right now, and it's interesting to see where things will go.
Yep, because we don't know what the future holds, but we're preparing for whatever may happen.
Yeah.
And the reason why you had a lot of anti-Trumps in the first term is because the media was lying to their viewers. Whatever Trump was accomplishing, which He did a lot of accomplishments, but the media would never expose those achievements of Trump. Instead, they turned around and twisted the story, and they would lie to American people. That's why you see all these people hating on Trump, is because they were under lies. They were under the spirit of Hitler.
Yep. There's this show that I've seen on YouTube where an individual would go around with the help of cameramen, and he would go to college campuses, and he'll just ask students, what do you think about what Trump did with this policy or what Trump did with that policy? And then at the end of it, he reveals, actually, this was Biden, or this was something that Hillary wanted, or this is what Biden wants, this is what Kamala wants. And people are shocked. They're like, what? No, we just heard that this was different yesterday. The news told us so. And it's just become like, why would you believe the news? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But people believe the news because even though there's a common saying that, you can't believe anything you hear on the internet, for some reason, people believe everything they hear on the internet.
Oh, and they don't extend that same logic to the news. I think if the media had not been pushing that Trump was a terrible, horrible person for 4 years, he would have been elected with a vast majority, maybe not as high as Ronald Reagan, but he definitely would have had a severe majority, and there would have been no competition really. But because enough people just don't really care and all they do is they hear what someone says, and they say, okay, that must be right. I'm not going to delve much deeper into it. And they listen to that. To them, it's, oh, well, everyone's saying it, so it must be true. But that's not how reality is.
Nope, absolutely not.
Hey, did you guys know that Barack Obama was our first gay president, and he's the one that brought into law of the same-sex marriages? And also, Michelle Obama, she's a man. She was a transgender. And I don't know if you guys knew it or not, but those kids of theirs, they were either borrowed or they were adopted. But anyways, they were not. Yeah, they were living the biggest lie ever in history as president.
Obama himself was a lie. I mean, he portrayed himself while he was running for his first term as this literal, like, he portrayed himself like a saint. You know, he said, I've always helped with the right and the left. But before he ran for president, in the past, he had served in the Illinois state legislature. And you can go back and look at what he voted with that. He didn't vote yes or no for one thing or another. He voted present for everything. Like, he was like, you don't get any more neutral than that. He was too worried about actually creating an image one way or another. So really all he wanted was that on his resume for president, he could say that I served in the Illinois state legislatures, which is, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's a common trend of the left, though. Paint one thing or blow it up and blow that out of proportion, make it look saintly, and then ignore everything else that contradicts the entirely false views that they end up painting.
Exactly. And I've never heard anything about him being gay or his wife being trans or having adopted kids or whatever. So honestly, that sounds a little odd to me, but the fact that he was a liar in a lot of ways is very true.
Yep.
And plus, Donald Trump, he's the most transparent president, so he made everything, declassified. So Obamagate right now is declassified. The GFK is declassified. So you can go on public information and look all this stuff up. It's available now for us to look at it and know the truth.
I am thankful that he's such a transparent president. He's been so transparent in the way that he dealt with stuff, and that's how our government should be run. It should be a transparent affair where we know what's going on in government, because if we don't, then our trust in government goes way down because we don't know what they're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, how can you have trust in somebody when you never know what they're actually spending their time doing? It's right. It's like, think of in terms, you have such a high divorce rate in the modern day world, and that's because people do things that obviously they shouldn't be believed against. But you can never know the truth of someone if all they do is constantly hide the truth from you, and they're never straight or honest with you. You don't make best friends with people that habitually lie to you. So why do you dedicate your life and opinions and what you believe in to people in government who don't give a crap about you? All they really care about is getting reelected and making money and dragging you into the mud no matter what it takes.
Yeah. And we have some more audio messages to play, but we guys appreciate it that you guys are keeping them pretty clean and not cussing or slandering anyone. So we appreciate that.
Yep, thank you.
And do you know that I was aware of the impeachment that was going to take place before Donald Trump was going to even go for presidency? So before he even announced his presidency, I already knew about the impeachment because I follow these prophets, and the prophets tell the future of what is to come. And everything that they have said and documented down, there's a whole list. And every single one of them has came to pass, and there's still more coming.
We all saw how strong Trump was when he was running in his first term, and obviously we're hoping for a second one. But we all saw how strong he was, and we were all like, "Oh boy, he's gonna shake some stuff up. There's gonna be some stuff happening there," and that's exactly what happened. You had the Democrats who claimed it was the most insecure and dishonest election in the history of the country, and then 4 years later they also claimed it was the most secure election in the history of the country.
They got us for saying that it was an insecure one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, wait a minute. I just tuned in, and all I'm hearing this person saying pretty much that Donald Trump is the Messiah. That is disturbing.
No.
Yeah, Wow. Okay, I'll continue listening. Just wanted to ask that. Really?
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
no,
for
no.
listening. We definitely don't believe that he is the Messiah. That is, in my opinion, a very wrongful belief.
No, 69 week. He's using a lot of Bible theory. And it's very clear that he's studied a lot of the Bible. And we definitely appreciate his comments. But he's not saying that Donald Trump is the Messiah. No, that's not what he's saying. He's just saying that Donald Trump was brought by divine nature to be the president. And I definitely believe that Trump was a blessing. But if you have anything else to say about that, Spencer.
Not really. Just make it clear, we definitely don't believe that President Trump is or was the Messiah or anything other than a good president who is a flawed man, but who still did a lot of good for this country.
Absolutely.
And you guys know that Donald Trump was talking about being president even 30, almost 40 years ago. I mean, he was on the Oprah show. He was on Johnny Carson. He was on, all these, talk shows early in the years. And I couldn't believe it, but he was a really young guy then too. And so it was like, he was like paving a path from 40 years ago until him today as being president. It's amazing. You should check it out on YouTube. It's called Donald Trump's long his way into the White House or something like that. But it's an amazing story.
Yeah, and then there was other people who predicted that he would at various talk shows. I know personally, my father has joked about the Simpsons prediction that Trump will be president.
Yep.
Simpsons predict the future.
Hey, yeah, you know what I noticed about you guys? Man, every other channel on here, people are like cussing, and they're just so careless with the words they use. I mean, it's just so evil, and you could tell that they have evil, these guys in the other channels, whoever cusses and, talks all these vain words, you could see the evil that's in their hearts. It's amazing, man. So I thank God for you guys. You guys are pretty awesome, and I want to say thank you for allowing me to comment all these things that I know. And I hope you guys do take heed to this, because I tell the truth and I can't lie.
Yeah, we see a lot of profanity, especially here on stereo, and that's something that me and Spencer don't want on our show. There's a comment saying that people who use profane words normally indicates low intelligence. I'm not saying everyone on stereo who cusses is not intelligent, but there's other ways to get your ideas across without using a whole slur of profanity that just makes everyone go, click, next.
And not using profanity, one, it really helps us feel good, and it really helps expand our audience, because if we're cussing, there are a lot of people that are either not going to listen or can't listen. So we appreciate that people don't cuss as much on our show.
Absolutely, right. Who wants to be listening to talk shows on stereo and scrolling through and then hear someone tune in who seems like they're saying there's something they want to listen to, and then all of a sudden out in the middle of nowhere they just hear a whole strand of profanity from them? And, you don't know if they have family and present. There's just no reason to cuss. We don't do it. So thank you, 69 Week. We try to keep it clean.
Yeah. It looks like we have a lot of messages, and we have to go in just a few minutes. But so sorry to those that have left messages that won't get heard, but we're going to try and run through a couple of them real quick.
Yep, try to run through some of these.
See, if you were knowing the God of the true living God, who is the creator of the earth and heavens, then you would know the future. You would know what's up to come, because God shares these, there's another verse in the Bible you could check out. It's Amos 3:7. God says, I shall do nothing of the secrets until I reveal the secret unto my servants and prophets. So that's how I'm able to know all these things, these timeline, because I am a new servant of God, here in these last days. 5 years ago is the first time I've ever started being with God, and never had him before. And I'm 51 years old today.
Yeah, that's
51 years old today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. That's a great scripture, and that's one of the reasons that our church believes in living prophets and apostles, is that it's God's going to work the same way now as he did in the past, where he's not going to not talk to people now just because he can. He loves all his children the same.
Yep, absolutely.
The Bible says that these days we should be out there redeeming the time, with God, because these days are evil and it's going to get nothing but worse. That's why God's going to come down, and he has to stop everything, because it's gone to the point of no return. So whatever you're seeing today in the media, in the people, in the leftist agenda, all these transgenders, is because we are being saturated with evil that's all around us. So if you don't seek out God soon, you're just going to go either with God or with the evil, and you're not going to even know what's going on.
Yep, there's a lot of evil in the world right now. It is disheartening, but it's important to keep an eye open. That's one of the reasons we started this show. We're here to create conversation, to create debates between people, but we also enjoy bringing to light the good things that people have done, especially with Donald Trump and many other people. So, for instance, we talked about Gina Serrano. Was that on Tuesday? I think it was.
Yeah.
Talked about her and everything that she did, and we enjoy bringing to light things that President Donald Trump has done. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only way that you could push back really is if you have God behind you. And that would be the only way, because it's already too late for us to, even as individuals without God, to be able to push that back. This is God's nation here in America. And I want to give you guys some truth here. Here in America, there's evidence of God everywhere, in our money, in our Constitution, in our freedom, in our Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, it's in everything that we and how we live today. And if also you want to check this out, look at the word Jerusalem, right? The word Jerusalem, well, right smack in the middle, you will find the acronyms USA. So that tells you that we are also God's people. The Jews are for surely, and us the Gentiles. And the Gentiles, we have Jews inwardly, but we're outwardly Gentiles.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really thought about that before, the USA and Jerusalem. Yeah, good points.
I had stopped watching the TV I don't know, a long time ago. I remember it was the reason because it was just too much money. I didn't want to pay for that bill, and I didn't see any worth into it, but today my mind is clear from all these lies. So I guess I wasn't affected by that manner. But, I do find news on YouTube, and YouTube is where I found God, to tell you the truth. And I never even had God before. So, God is working in all ways to reach us. So, to find God on YouTube, that was pretty amazing, I thought, because I had the knowledge of you can find also lies on there. But, even though that's true, you can also find the truth as well on YouTube. And that's where I recommend you guys get all your information from, because that's what I do.
Yeah, I get my information from various amounts of sources. Even though I don't agree with, I still study and listen to CNN, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, or sorry, not Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times, crap like that we all know there's a lot of bias and lies in, but these are things that other people cite, and these are things that other people talk about. And so for anyone listening, whoever wants to have an intelligent argument, definitely make sure that you're also listening to this stuff from the other side, because otherwise you're going to not sound very intelligent when they are trying to talk about something, and you can call them out and be like, actually, this person said this and this, they didn't say that, and here's my evidence that that's wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great point of views that I totally agree with you guys. I mean, it's fantastic, many perspectives. Although there are some that I'm like, no, I disagree. Donald Trump as my president, actually, yeah, as a businessman, you know, I commend him. He's done so much actually for our nation. You know, and other accusations like racist or other things, you know what, that's something that I don't want to opinion too much on that. But when it comes to improving our nation, yeah, he's been one of the greatest presidents ever, without a doubt.
Yep, we can speak on the character and everything that Trump's done, debunking some of the falsehoods about him maybe in a later episode. But he has definitely done the most for our country in maybe ever, but at least certainly in a long time.
Yeah, and we do have to go in just a minute, but I think that was a really great place to kind of end our talking points. He has done so much, and he's done so much for America as a businessman and as the president, and that combination really is what allowed him to boost our economy so much and to have the level head going into government and not letting his position overinflate his ego or how much he thought of himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So are we going to go ahead and wrap up today, Spencer?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Spencer's got crap to do, guys.
Yep. But thank you guys for listening.
Yep.
We
we
really
apologize.
Yeah. We appreciate all the comments. We're sorry to those that drop comments that we aren't able to play, but listen back in the next week or so, and we should be able to get some of your comments in.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. We're gonna be we show on it. We come on as much as we can. We try to come on at least weekly, but if not, many more times than that, as much as we can, really. So just keep an eye open. We're gonna be coming on live again soon. And we really appreciate everything you guys do to be able to come on here and talk to us, and we can have a conversation like this.
Yeah.
My name is Colson.
My name is Spencer. We're 18 and American.
And we're signing off. Thank you, everybody, for coming in today.
See you guys. Have a great day.